Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I am Dr. T, Ph.D, the prodigy of sports psychology, welcoming back another amazing guest right here on today's show, Billy of the Bump It Up Experiment. Now before Billy rejoins us, I'd like to ask everyone out there, if you'd please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now we talked to Billy a couple months ago, just in the midst of everything going on with all the craziness here in the greater Atlanta area, and he caught us up to speed, but now we get to kind of see how he's doing as we emerge out of the pandemic, so to speak. What's been going on in his world? How does he continue to bump it up? And I'm excited to get him back on today's show because he's a bundle of energy. He's amazing, incredible with everything that he does with his Bump It Up experiment. So I am looking forward to speaking to him momentarily, and we'll have him on here shortly. And remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be back in a minute. We are welcoming back Billy here, back on GoTarryn TV. Billy, how are you doing out there today?
I'm doing good. How are you this morning, Terry?
Good, thank you. And it's always great to see you. And so it's been a month since you and I have chatted, so it's kind of a way of us getting caught up now. And first, I thank you so much for being able to do this so early in the morning as we're recording. But what's been going on in your world, and kind of catch us up to speed on what's been happening in your life?
Finally, things are getting kind of normal. I chose to get vaccinated. I feel a bit safer of being able to go out and about, and it allows me to interact a little bit more now with people. So I get to bump it up a little bit more, and I've done some traveling again. I was gone a couple of weeks ago and had a couple of pretty cool bump experiences, and yeah, it feels good. Feels like it's been a while. I actually went to the movies last weekend.
Oh, okay. Now, where did you go out of town, and what did you see at the movie? I guess the question is the movie. What did you see?
To see for kids and adults.
Nice.
There was about a whopping 20 in the movie theater, but it was nice. It seemed like it had been forever since I was in a movie theater. And then I went home to Eastern North Carolina for a family wedding. But Terry, I can tell you on the drive home, I met a fraternity brother who was my college roommate that I had not seen in probably 15, 20 years that we've stayed in touch. And we agreed to meet at this diner called Breakfast Time outside of Concord, North Carolina. And we're at breakfast at the diner, and the waitress noticed that I had a couple of bumped up wristbands on, and she goes, "What's that about?" And I said, "It's my kindness project." And my college roommate said, "You should look it up." And she came back and said, "I did something kind last week." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" And she said, "Well, my best friend was running short on money and didn't have money for groceries for she and her kids, so I gave her my tips for the day." And I go, "Do you realize how huge that is? You gave up a day's work to put some food in the fridge for your friend." And I said, "Incredibly kind of you." And I said, "What'd you make that day?" And she said, $60 and change. Well, Tara and I had scrambled eggs, turkey, bacon, and water for breakfast. And when it came tip time, do you know what I left her for a tip?
Oh, I'm going to guess probably close to 60.
$60. $20 up wristband, and I left.
Oh, that was sweet.
My roommate, "Aren't you going to hang around to see where she goes?" I go, "Who does?" I go, "No, that's not my mojo. My mojo is to do," I call them hit and runs, because I don't want people to thank me. I want them to be inspired to turn around and do something just because of the kindness of their heart. Because again, just to refresh everybody's memory, I was left a note at 17, and all the note said was, if you're ever in the position to do something for someone, be it of your time or money, do it without expecting anything in return. I did not know who left me that money, and it was $2,000. And that helped me go to the University of North Carolina. Didn't find out for 5 or 6 years that the person who gave me that money, his name was Bump. And I think there's something very cool about the anonymity of doing something where somebody can't say, "Oh, Taryn, you're so nice. Billy, you're so nice." I like being able to do hit and runs when at all possible, because that way there's no way they can thank you, that hopefully that will inspire them to go out there and do something for somebody in thanks for what was done for them.
That is so cool. Yeah, I bet I mean, I know there's probably a small part though of you that would love to just be a fly on the wall and see the reaction, though, right? I mean, it'd be pretty cool. Just can imagine how much you made her day.
It would be, because I guarantee you, she told I don't know how many people that story of what happened to her, but it also reinforces to her that when you give, that you never know when it's going to come back to you and in what way it'll come back to you. And it encourages you, hopefully, to give even more freely. But I mean, that's pretty cool to think that she spent her day's wages to help someone else in need.
Yeah, I mean, again, especially now, I think you and I talked last time about how the pandemic has kind of created a lot of negativity, not only from an economic standpoint of people's lives, but I think we talked a little bit about the aggressive drivers and road rage and people just in foul moods and all the negativity. But doing something like that, especially now, that probably even magnifies, the effect of what you're doing, I'm guessing, to some of those people.
Well, there's definitely still more people now more than ever still in need, because there's a lot of people who still aren't working.
Right.
Hopefully back to work soon, but this isn't over. The ramifications of it. Hopefully we're in a better place from a health standpoint with more and more people getting the shots. But the economic impact is still being felt. And I mean, just look at supply and demand right now of things that we aren't able to get. And if you listen to the news, just about everything is going up in price, or staying the same price and they're decreasing quantity.
Very
and I thought for them to say that, because they said a lot of times we consumers, we don't pay attention to the unit, the amount we get. We just pay attention to price. So yeah, it's still impacting us.
No, you're right. I mean, it's just everywhere we look, and I keep hearing the same story from people about not only that with supply and demand, but it's just shortage of workers too. Everywhere you go, like. Give you an example. Before we were recording, our mutual friend Craig and I went out for breakfast, and I think it took that we were the only ones there, but it probably took us, I guess, I'm just not exaggerating, 15, 20 minutes to be seated. And then after that, it probably took another 10 to 15 minutes to order our food. And so just right there, it's like, okay, what happened to the people working? It seemed like one person throughout the whole restaurant was working there doing everything. And so I think we're continuing to see the brunt of that.
I have heard similar stories, especially in vacation areas, where they just have people to handle. And these are businesses that really, really need the help right now. Their feet from the past year. And it's unfortunate. I hope more people have the opportunity or make the opportunity to go back to work. I stay out of that debate, Taryn, about unemployment, to work or not to work. I know help care for kids is still a problem for many people. I will tell you something about kids that was pretty cool too. A different type of story for me. I was walking in Raleigh, North Carolina. I stayed at a hotel where it's a walk, live type environment, retail environment. I'm walking, and at the time there's a father and a son walking ahead of me, and didn't know their names at the time, but their names are Travis and Emery. And Emery's the son, and I think Emery was 10 and celebrating his birthday. And Emery says to his dad, "Dad, do you think people come to Raleigh, North Carolina for vacation?" And his dad said, "Emery, I don't think people come to Raleigh for vacation. I think they come for work. Vacation is like if you go to the beach, you go to the mountains, you go to Disney, you do whatever." And I can't help because I'm walking so close to them, overhearing the conversation. And I said, "Sorry to be eavesdropping," but I said, "I'm actually here for 2 days on vacation." And we started laughing. And so I said, "Yeah, people do come to Raleigh for vacation." And I'm talking to them, and I give out Starbucks cards all the time. And I gave the dad a Starbucks card, and Mom started talking about the bump experiment and everything. And since it was Emery's birthday, I gave him a $20 bill, and I said, "Happy birthday, do something nice for somebody too." And we talked about a half hour, and then I caught up with them again about 45 minutes later because we happened to be walking back. But the mother reached out to me later that day on Facebook and said, "I looked up the bump experiment. My son was just talking and talking about you, and said how I'm surprised and how nice it is to see that there's kind people in the world." Those were her words. There are kind people in the world. Taryn, that more than ever emphasizes to me is, folks, watch out how you act, what you say, what you do around kids, because they are so impressionable. And if we set the tone of kindness and giving and helping, that's going to reflect as they go on through life. I mean, when you can impress a 10-year-old kid like that just by an act of kindness, and in the opposite of that, when we do things that aren't our best selves and are negative or say things that are inappropriate or not kind to other people, those kids pick up on those very same things too. So that was very cool that this kid, Emery, in just this amount of time of interacting, picked up that, wow, yeah, there really are kind people in the world. And there are lots of kind people in the world. We just need to run into them.
Yeah. I mean, again, you probably left such a lasting impression, obviously, in his life, and how many more people he'll probably share that story with. It kind of reminds me of what you do. And the only time I can remember, I guess, in recent history that something like that happened to me, I think I was in line to grab like something like Dunkin' Donuts coffee or whatever, and I was like, I haven't had breakfast. Why don't I usually just grab something like a bagel or whatever? And the person gave me the food, and I was like, I haven't paid for this yet. And she's like, oh, the person in front of you paid. And I looked, I was like, what person? It was through the drive-thru, and they were already gone. And it's probably similar to, again, a lot of ways what you do. I mean, just that little thing, that was probably like a $5 meal, whatever. But that made me just feel like, I was like, oh my God. And I immediately did the same for the person behind me. I was like, well, here, then pay for the person behind me in line. And so I guess that's kind of almost, would you say, contagious in a way? Do you see that happening a lot of times, that effect?
And Taryn, I got to tell you, you do the same thing that so many people, and I'm sure I used to do this, is I would always discount. You said this little thing I did. There are no little things, Taryn. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, I don't care if you give $1 or you give them, or you open the door for somebody, or when I was younger, I went to Haiti for 3 months. I'll tell you, I drove home to Eastern North Carolina this past time, and it's about a 6.5, 7-hour drive. Okay. And on numerous occasions, there's lots of truckers, and I would let the truckers get in front when they were merging or whatever. I can't tell you the number of times that truckers, once they got in front of me, would flash their headlights saying thank you, because generally speaking, I know this, at the times you don't want a truck in front of you. Thankfully, that was just what they need. So you never know where your one act of kindness might be just the thing that person needs in that moment.
Yeah, certainly. And in this right now, like these times of, we were talking about a few minutes ago of just the kind of hostility and just uncertainty, especially in this country, do you find hope that things could get better maybe sometime in the near future?
I hope so, and I always think you have to have hope. I mean, I see things. There's one thing during this pandemic is that there have been so many people helping people on many, many levels, in spite of all the things that have gone on politically, economically, socially. Yep. In spite of all the bad things that have gone on, I've seen people come together more of helping one another. And in many cases, I see people who normally might not interact because of opinions or for any number of reasons, where they actually help just because there was someone else in need. And that's encouraging. I saw a sign yesterday that said, "Embrace diversity." And I love that, because I always think through diversity we get to learn so much. I live in a neighborhood where it's very difficult to put two houses together that are alike, because we are that diverse. But yet the neighborhood, which consists of about 150 homes, we are tight as ever, just because we see ourselves as friends and neighbors. And it's through the diversity that we get to learn things. Boy, I've experienced more different kinds of foods. I don't need to go to a restaurant. All I got to do is ask a neighbor to fix me. Would you fix me something different? And they'll come up with something I've never had the opportunity to taste before. And you don't get that in most neighborhoods. And the interesting thing is we don't see, we just see ourselves as neighbors and friends. That's just about.
That is so cool, Billy. It's just giving a lot of hope, I think, for what you do. And, I guess the rest of the year, now that we're kind of coming out of this pandemic, what do you kind of foresee happening, let's say in the next 6 months or as we're getting towards the end of 2021? Do you see improvement and do you see, you talked about the vaccinations, you see more people getting vaccinated and I guess this pandemic coming to an end even?
I hope we see, and I hope the numbers prove it to be true as we get vaccinated.
Yeah.
That will allow us to get back to, quote, they keep using the term new normal, but get back to just the way things were.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think there'll be times when I've heard friends say that come winter time that they're going to wear a mask just because they don't want to get a cold or the flu now. It has nothing to do with the COVID. It's just the fact that they heard so few people talk about getting a cold or the flu that they don't want to get either of them. And I think that's a good thing that will come out. I think hopefully as supply and demand picks back up that we'll be able to, reach a more sense of normalcy as well. I just think the main thing is the more, quote, normal people feel, I think it helps ease the tensions too. And I think just because of so many different factors that has hyped people up in many cases.
Yeah.
I do hope also that when we see our vaccination slowing down, I hope we don't see an increase amongst those vaccinated, but statistically you would expect that to happen, and that might be the thing that encourages those who aren't vaccinated to get vaccinated when they see it's only the unvaccinated population that's being affected. Most of the cases. But it is encouraging to see so many people. I noticed at the gym that I work out at that the last time, and it's been a month and a half, but at that point we were 91% vaccinated.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It really is.
Wow.
And the way they measured that was by showing our cards that we had been vaccinated. That didn't include the people who were in the process of being vaccinated. And I think if we had, can you imagine what it would feel like and be like if the whole nation were 91% vaccinated?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That would be. I think the more we get that sense of, and the higher vaccination rate, the better people will feel. Because I just heard on the news yesterday, India had over 6,400 deaths, which was its high number in a day. How we heard a lot about India a month ago, and now we don't hear it quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know, I always have the sayings, we judge the quality of our lives by the misery of others. How many people do that, and we go, oh, thank God I'm not in India, at least, it's better. Well, you practice the thankfulness that you have. I'm thankful that I'm healthy today. I'm thankful that I have friends and family. I'm thankful that I'm working. I always think we need to celebrate the good things and not just judge by, oh, I'm just glad I'm not there, or I'm not unemployed. I don't know. I'm a big guy on seeing the cup half full all the time and not half empty.
Yeah, I mean, you really are. I mean, that's so admirable. You're like the eternal optimist, and it's definitely, in the last year and a half, it's been a time where you really can't have community, and it was like really weird, trying to get through this thing where we couldn't kind of huddle and group hug and such. In fact, it was the opposite. You had to keep distance and stay away from people, and parents with families and kids saying, you can't play with so-and-so because you don't want to catch COVID and everything. So it was a very tricky kind of puzzle for us to, get through. And I think you're right. Now that we're kind of getting through that, I think everybody is just excited to go back and, like you said earlier, maybe go out and see a movie, things we hadn't done in a year and a half. And if there's other things for yourself, Billy, what are you most looking forward to doing that you might have been not able to do in the last year and a half normally, besides go out and see a movie? Anything else that you're really excited about doing here?
I'm going to start flying.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
Looking forward to, being able to fly again.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing for me, just because it's limited me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still not able to go out of the country. I'm usually, I go, having been in the Caribbean when I was younger, I'm usually there about 3 weeks out of the year, and we do that cruising, and it allows me to hit different countries. And I've built relationships with people throughout the Caribbean now for, gosh, 30, 35 years. And I'm still not ready to take a cruise yet. I'm hoping that's on the horizon within the next year. But, before we never even saw the opportunity to do again. We didn't know when, many of us, when we would fly again. Or many of us didn't even know when we would go to a restaurant. Or when we would. And now people are actually doing those things, and especially more outdoor activities. People are going to baseball games. They're starting to do concerts now. Smaller venues, but smaller crowds. But at least we're doing things again. And I think the more and more we do that, and hopefully the statistics bear out that we can do it in a safe manner, I think we'll get back to feeling like our old selves again.
Yeah, and hopefully, if that's to happen, maybe the country will kind of unify. Do you have hope that you see kind of this divisiveness maybe smoothing over and us coming together eventually, let's say in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Taryn, I instead of hoping that I think everybody, that's the great thing about the United States of America, is we're allowed to have our own opinions and politics. What we need to learn, what my hope is not that we're more trying to come together in our opinions, but that we're willing to embrace diversity and compromise. It's not of I'm right, you're wrong. It's what can we come to the table and discuss and learn about each other. What can we do to make it better for all of us? I always use this analogy with friends that get married or in serious relationships, and I think it's great for the democracy too, since it's a major two-party system, is that I think whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever you are, we're all in this one huge big relationship together. And when one person wins an argument, then that means that the other person has to lose the argument. And when you're playing on the same team, and that's the team for individual freedoms and everything that we're blessed to have, one wins and one loses. We both lose. So we need to find common ground where everybody wins, and by winning, it means that we try and work together and make sure that everybody benefits. It's not just my way or the highway. And fortunately, in the past, it seems like, regardless of the party affiliation, it's about power for the party, whoever that party is, as opposed to making the lives of all Americans better. And that's what I'm for. I always tell people I never engage in political banter. I never talk about it, because everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I always say with the month experiment, everybody deserves kindness, respect, and equality. And we don't always deal in politics with kindness, respect, and equality, and the decisions that people at the top make should reflect kindness, respect, and equality. And I think when we exhibit those three qualities, then it's a win-win for everybody.
That's really good. I think you're so wise on that, what you said too about kind of staying away from the political opinions, because let's face it, whatever opinion you take or you post that on a website or social media, most likely almost 50% of people might be alienated by that and turned off, right?
And there's always the saying, Maya Angelou has a quote, is humans were more alike than different. And I don't care. I always tell people, I don't care what you drive, what you do for a living, I don't care what political affiliation, I don't care about. I care about, tell me what you do to make a difference in the world with your time and your money. But I have found throughout life, if you talk to someone long enough, you're going to find something that you have in common. I noticed someone this past week learned that we rescue pit bulls, and they rescue pit bulls. They were shocked. They go, that was something I never knew about you. And I said, yep, I've been doing it for about 25, 30 years now. There have been lots of pit bulls in my life. And I go, so many times we don't take the time. We are all far more than our politics or what region of the country that we're from or what we do for a living, we either dig deeper and look at the intrinsic qualities about us instead of the extrinsic, the things, you'll just find out more about somebody if you'll take the time just to talk to them, just to communicate and to listen. I think that's key too, is we got to listen more to each other. We do a lot of talking, but not a lot of listening.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it almost takes a great tragedy for people to come together. Like, say, for example, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 here soon. And when that happened in New York, you could see how nobody was thinking Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. Everybody was just getting together and really unifying then, I thought. And kind of, like you said, have that common ground. Like, we have one common goal. We want peace. We want harmony. We don't want to be at war and fighting. And maybe COVID, in a way, kind of, hopefully, we could see some silver lining with that. But back to the animals, Billy, I remember you told me about that with the pit bulls, and I think it's so wonderful what you do for our mutual friend Craig with the cats, too, because I'm always, whenever I see Craig, he's showing, like, dry food, canned food, he's like, yep, Billy, and I was like, oh, that is really sweet. So I try to help out as much as possible, too, whenever I can. I'm like, whatever the cats need some food or whatever, let me know, and but you're right. I mean, those little critters, in my opinion, those animals that are out there, feral or what have you, they don't have a chance because they don't have minds like us. They don't have resources to be able to do something and get a job and help themselves. So in my opinion, I think they're at even more necessity of being kind of rescued or helped. So I really commend you for what you do for the pit bulls.
They really are. And I'll tell you this, there's a shelter that we help out because they have trouble sometimes feeding all they're primarily pits. It's called Pits for the Forlorn. Do all types of breeds, but they have a whole lot of pit bulls there. But right now, shelters are still at a maximum, and they're just for the past year and a half, a lot of the shelters have not been able to have the volunteers and the brunt of taking care of the facilities has been on a few. And of course, when things are closed, they're not getting as many donations. So right now, it's a great time to foster a pet, to rescue a pet, or to give a donation. And many places are opening back up now to volunteers. So it's a good way of getting involved. And I think the best things about pets, as much as I love people, is animals are so unconditional. They're always happy to see you. Be nice if people were always happy with one another.
Well, it's funny, Billy. You remind me at the gym. There are some sour people, as anywhere else. But one of the gyms that I met in Buckhead, the front desk guy's name's Tom. Really nice guy, and he couldn't be nicer. But sometimes you get some cranky people that come in, and they'll usually the people I'm referring to. It's an older demographic, so probably like mid-70s, mid-80s for age range. And there's this one woman that just really busts his chops all the time, like complaining about everything. Just like, why is it so cold in the locker rooms? Why don't you guys ever have this and that? Blah, blah, blah. Just yelling at him. Stuff that's not his fault, obviously. He's a front desk guy. And I asked Tom, I said, Tom, how do you do it? Like, how do you take this abuse? And because he's so courteous, he's like, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll tell the manager. Have a great day. And he says, Taryn, it's real simple. Everyone that comes in this gym brings me joy. And I was like, wow. He said, some when they come to the gym, and he said, and some when they leave. And she's the type, when she leaves, I'm in joy. And I thought that was just so funny. I was like, that's pretty good, Tom. So
Here in the past, there was a TV show, America's Got Talent. They're probably the contestant. I've watched this show since its inception over the years. But this past week, people should Google it. It's called Simon's Golden Buzzer. Okay. And there's a young lady. She goes by the name Nightbird. And she's a singing artist. Beautiful inside and out. She has a spirit that glows. Huh. And when she introduces, you can tell by the emotion, and there's something different about it, but you just don't know what it is. And as she's talking, she's been given a 2% chance of living with the type cancers that she has.
Oh, God. Ooh.
Beautifully, she gets the golden buzzer, and Simon asks her the question, with everything you're going through and continue to go through. This is a woman who is finding joy in the day. She said, if I focus on all that is wrong, I'm going to miss out on all that is right.
Oh, and wow.
So here's a woman that has a 2% chance of survival, and right now is still making it. I'm looking forward to seeing her journey on the show. But if quite a perspective of all the things that she could be sad about, negative about, yet she has all this joy about her because we have today. So I call it the what if syndrome, that we're always what ifing if this happens, if that happens. If we're what ifing all the time, then we're going to miss on what's happening today if we're what ifing about what might happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you got to experience the moment, enjoy the day, and it doesn't mean that you don't think about the days ahead or plan, but we get so caught up in worrying about things that we miss out on enjoying the very things that we have for this day. I was so inspired by her that I went out. I bought. She has like 3 or 4 songs out on iTunes, and I did some postings about her. And I said, "Buy her songs. Let's show her some love and give her some, support financially from the path, just through her music." But what an inspiring story! I can't help but watch her and watch this story and go, "Wow, I've got nothing to complain about." Here's a young lady that struggles every day, and yet she's like a little angel.
Wow, what a story. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm glad you told me about that. I've never heard of that. I'll check that out. Well, Bill, yeah, I mean, it's amazing, things like that. I hope, stories like that will continue to inspire other people too. But before we let you go, this 30 minutes flew by so quickly. I can't believe, we're coming to an end here, but can we go ahead and plug your website and people how they can reach you, please? And any last words you've got for people, for how they can bump it up?
Just Google the Bump Experiment. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, the Bump It Up Guy, and the Bump Experiment. And I always just tell people there's opportunities all around you all the time. There's always somebody that needs to get in front of you when you're driving. There's always your dollar counts when you give or donate. And I also tell people when they say they don't have the time or the money, I go, folks, remember your hello might be the only hello that person gets all day long. And right now, thankfully, because we continue to get vaccinated, we are able to watch people with their lips say hello to us instead of behind the mask. First, people say hello.
Yeah, very well said, Billy. You're right. And again, I commend you for everything you're doing. Keep up the great work, and really appreciate your time. I can't thank you enough. And it's always so fun doing these with you. So let's get you back on here next month. And I hope you have a great rest of your June and have a nice weekend as well.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me, Taryn. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Billy.
Okay, bump it up.